First, we move to crime news. And the first crime is the crime of the Brokkolist teenage gang. And they had challenged another gang, the Grand Sumo Wrestler Escape. But maybe she's Japan's ultimate weapon. The Radish Smasher! Hello, ladies and gentlemen, on Ask Japanese. This is your reporter, Cathy Cat, speaking. This time, we are going to talk about 5 weird, strange, and surprising incidents that made the news here in Japan. So let's go and find out what they are. First, we move to crime news. And the first crime is the crime of the Brokkolist. November 14th, 2011, at a certain location on campus at Tokyo University, a certain crime occurred. Now, Tokyo University, to mention that first, is one of the most prestigious universities of Japan. Yet, this crime occurred. What happened is the bicycles in a certain location, the saddles were stolen and instead replaced with something green and bushy. Their saddles had been removed and been replaced with broccoli. 3 students got called in for a hearing because they were in suspicion of having done this, since the saddles were actually not stolen and the bicycles weren't damaged in the process. They, however, didn't get into any more trouble. On the specifics, 11 bicycles had their seats removed and they were replaced with some nice green broccoli there. And that kind of obviously made the news on social media. People took pictures, spread it around, everyone started talking, and that's how it caught the eyes of the media. So they came on campus and interviewed people. Turns out some of the students thought it was kind of cool, some thought it was surprising, and some thought it was a real mystery. Some specific attention to detail went in there because the students cut the broccoli to match the size of the seats. They also said they very much enjoyed everyone's reactions when they found their bicycles. But this was not just a fun incident, it actually had another reason. The bicycles had actually been parked in an area where it was forbidden to park bicycles. That and actually some of the staff might actually have been amongst those people. So they couldn't kind of complain because they were in the wrong of parking their bicycles there, and the kids who replaced it with broccoli actually put signs onto the bicycle saying, "Please do not park your bicycle here." Well, have you ever threatened anyone with that, saying if you don't listen to this, your seat will be replaced with broccoli? So it was more than just a prank. It also was reminding people to keep their manners and don't park the bicycles there. Afterwards, they had actually similar incidents with green onions, bananas, and similar. So some copycats were on the way to do that. Also, one thing personally I'm surprised about is broccoli is super expensive in Japan. How did they afford that? 11 bicycles? That was like 11 broccolis? They spent a fortune on that prank. NEXT! Did you know that you can actually not challenge someone to a fight, a duel, a physical fight here in Japan? You can't do this anymore. Since 1889, this has been banned and is actually illegal. Reason for that being, if you watched it, in samurai's movies and similar, samurai used to challenge each other for a fight to the death and similar things like that. And in 1889, they had to stop that. Therefore, it is actually a crime and you can't do it. Now, there is an incident though in 2014 that made the news. In 2014, 3 boys got called into a hearing by the police. Since they were not over the age of 18, they didn't get arrested, but they had some serious talking to by the police. They were just around the age of 17 and such. Now, these 3 boys were part of a teenage gang, and they had challenged another gang for a fight, for a duel, which is actually illegal. So they went over to fight them at the set time. Turns out the guys on the other side had brought, or at least one of them, had brought a metal bat. Yeah, that's the moment when you're like, oh damn. So they were like, oh no. So the boys that were actually out there to duel the other boys pulled in, ran over and told the police. Now the police said, hey boys, you weren't supposed to do a duel anyways, this is kind of wrong. So the boys apologized, said, okay, we won't do it again, we know it's wrong, it's against the law. Similar things like that, like, we're so sorry. But that could be where the story ends. But it was not. The police thought on their ends, they're all young boys. How can we, help them become better? How can we maybe stir them away from that whole group kind of negative mentality and maybe inspire them to do a little bit something better with their time and lives? And that's when the police came up with a revolutionary idea here in Japan. We're gonna do a baseball match. The rowdy boys of both groups had to work together in a team and play against a team of the police. So it was cops versus young teenage gang members who played a game of baseball. And the idea again was to have those two gangs work together as a team, bond, and after the match, graduate or leave their gang mentality. And we don't know how the match ended because the police actually said we don't want to have this featured by the media, meaning the media was not invited, even though the media obviously wanted to film this. Sounds like it's out of a anime manga kind of story, Great Teacher Onizuka or similar. But they said it's very private. Obviously they didn't want to also show the faces of the teenagers because they have the whole life in front of them and they were hoping to better their behavior, to give them new incentives and to set them on the right path with this kind of idea. We don't know how it ended, but we know that the game definitely happened and that it went well. The Grand Sumo Wrestler Escape. In 2020, so this year in Ibaraki, 9 sumo wrestlers escaped out of their own sumo dojo. Out of 19 people, 9 fled. And I'm gonna let you know why. Who and why did they flee from their own dojo stable? The reason was harassment, but not from other sumo in their group, but actually from the owner's wife. The owner of the dojo stable had gone sick and couldn't do his job, so his wife instead was starting to take on his work, but we don't know what kind of mentality she had, but she started to suddenly imply some new rules in the area, meaning even if they just wanted to use the electric plugs in the dojo, they had to tell her. They had to notify people in the group. If they got parcels from their friend and family, they had to take pictures of the contents and send them to her. Everything or more and more things around them got regulated, and if they didn't do it right, they would get a long reprimanding message from her and similar. If you know anything about dojos and stables, these people don't just go there to train. They generally live there, which means they do not have contact much with their friends and family, and that's why they're waiting for these parcels and similar, and they can't really easily get out of that situation. After, for example, fighting a sumo match, the sumo wrestlers had to sit down and write an essay or kind of a report to her with the things they thought they did wrong. She would also threaten them, saying, "I will fire you, I'll report you to the sumo association," and she would just randomly walk into their lockers, check their locker for their private content and similar things. Privacy was pretty low there. So 9 sumo wrestlers out of that dojo escaped. The situation went into a karaoke place and phoned the Sumo Wrestling Association to tell them what was going on with those dojo stables. Look, something isn't quite right here. Now, actually, the association took them over to Tokyo and is currently looking into the issue and to resolve what actually went wrong there. So yeah, even the very strong and mighty, powerful, muscly sumo wrestlers can become a target of harassment by one landlady. So yeah. But even though at the time it must have looked for them like a situation they cannot properly escape out from, all those 9 sumo wrestlers stood up together, escaped the situation, and tried to contact the next authority that would come and help them. So guys, do not give up wherever you are. You can get a way out of it. They were brave, and so can you be. The Bear Fighter. In 2020, this year, we have a bear incident where a bear again attacked a human being. But this time, it's not the karate master that he attacked, but just an 80-year-old old lady. She was just doing some things in the garden, doing some weird things, just working by herself when a bear came out of the bushes to attack her. Now what happened to this lady? The bear came and smacked her into the face, scratched her face, and then she did not lose consciousness. She blacked out for that moment and she doesn't remember what happened, but apparently, in that state of shock and panic, the 80-year-old lady fought back. Yes. After that initial attack from the bear, she totally lost it. We don't know if she did a Nasengan or if she did like a Kamehameha or whatever she did, but she made that bear fly away, is pretty much what she said. The police interviewed her and said, "What did you do?" And she's like, "Fukitobashita kamoshirennai," meaning I kind of might have like blown it away. We will never know how she did it, but her husband saw the bear flee. So, she might just be a tiny little 80-year-old lady who was just doing the weeds in the garden. But maybe she's Japan's ultimate weapon. 準備はいいですか? The Radish Smasher. Japanese white radish is a little bit different from the radish you might have at home. Instead of a little tiny radish, it is actually a very long, big, white radish. Now this one is a great source of different nutrients, also very great for vitamin C and every other copper, magnesium, quite a lot of things. What's in this radish again? Great source of nutrients such as calcium, magnesium, potassium, and copper, and the highest in vitamin C and folate, apparently. But daikon, Japanese radish, can also be used as a fierce weapon. 2015, in the Aichi prefecture, there was a shared vegetable garden, meaning several people can share this garden together. Now, one man called the police because of a suspicious other person who was doing suspicious things in the not-so-suspicious shared vegetable garden. A 70-year-old man went then and approached the suspicious man going like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the guy seemed to be fumbling around with something, so he apologized and then used his fierce weapon to smash the 70-year-old man to the ground. Yes, he used the radish. Daikon. The 70-year-old man fell down by the sudden radish daikon attack, and the other person who was smashed him with that huge radish ran away. The police is still on the hunt for him. In case you should see him, let us know. The attacker is 170 centimeters tall. He was wearing an orange shirt and pants and riding a black bicycle. If you should tell anyone, if you should see anyone, be sure to let us know. And if he's also carrying a fierce weapon, don't forget, guys, this man is armed with some serious radish. What had the guy been doing? He actually got the radish out. He went there to steal the radish. That's why the police found a hole right where the guy was standing. He actually pulled out the radish out of the ground, attacked the 70-year-old man, and ran away with that big juicy daikon. Now, this is actually getting investigated as a case of burglary, and if they should find the Radish Smasher, he might get up to 5 years in prison. お疲れ様です! Did you like our Japanese incidents that made the news? I hope you did. Let me know which one was your favorite out of all the 5 incidents that I showed you. And don't forget to subscribe for more from Ask Japanese. We're looking forward to having you on the team. Leave us a like so more people can find us. And I'll catch you soon for more stuff here on Ask Japanese coming out from Japan to you. See you guys. Bye.